Here we are on the daily S&P 500, and a delta for Monday MMTs is 2.97. Let's go ahead and populate this right here. Wow, look at those gauges moving. Everything is populating. Let's pull up under the hood. Your indicator, that is the SMF market maker indicator, just populating very nicely. Look at that. Okay, so now that we've done all that, let's get the lower SMF info panel into view, which we do. Basically, the S&P 500 started its breakout right here. This was the buy action bar. That was on 9/1. It is a daily chart, so it does go back, but we're just showing where that trend had started. Right now, what I am going to do is I'm going to go into the brain and I'm going to populate all the prices. So I populated those down there. Let's populate the bottom part as well. Let's hit 30. Okay, so let's hit 50, and each one of these lines are 5.45. Okay, let's make sure that we populate correctly, which we've done. Okay, so we have $5.45 per delta line. That's the market maker price line action. Let's take a look at some of the highs that occurred right over here on the S&P. One top, two tops. Here's that third top. Now, one thing's going to happen here, MMTs. The bullish thing is, yes, you're closing above half of the previous daily bar right here. That bar is 1228.30 right here. That number, 1238.30 MMTs. That's your support level to build a base. What you're looking for is right over here when we started to break out in this trend. This bar was 1197 right here. And we're looking for a breakout bar above this bar. This is a very narrow range day, and a lot of people could say that's a doji in technical terms of what the standard public looks at, but this is not a public model. It's a market maker model. Public doesn't get models like that. If we gap below it with a red bar like this, MMTs, and we take out half of this bar at 1238 and start to close below that, that means that that will confirm an S&P reversal. How far down it goes will be dependent on what this looks like on a daily level. So picture this red bar right here, MMTs, gapping down below the body of this bar here. Okay, that's a narrow range daily price action bar on quadruple witching day, which was yesterday on 12/17/2010. MMTs. MMTs can be aware that these moves can break higher and break lower. Breaking lower would be a gap below. They would slide that bid. They would take out 1238.30 on the S&P, and that would be the end of it. That's the short side in MMTs. Now, MMTs on the other side of everything. Let's go back over here. Let's zoom out there. Let's take a look at something here. Let's take a look at how we took out other highs before. This is where highs fell, and these were highs here that there was a similar pattern of going up, sliding the bid, coming back down, and then breaking higher. What we want to see is a bar like this above the top of this little cross here, and that it starts and that the intraday buy side action hits and floods the market, and people want to own stocks going into the new year, particularly into next week in the holiday season. The way to confirm it, SMF, MMTs, is this right here. That's preferable above it. And what that would mean is it would be a greater bar than this daily bottom right here, which was where we had broke out. We had broke these highs here, right here. We took out these highs right through here. We broke out. We're looking for that bar that way, and or a bar like that with the gap down. These will be the support levels. Half bar here is 1238.30 on the S&P. This level on the S&P is 1239.139. 3 days ago from top down to bottom up price action in the whole daily bar. That's what we look at. This part of that bar right here is 1236.49. That's going to be the lower handle of support 1. Support 2 will be 1230.78, and support 3 will be 1224.22, and that's half of the bar. They got to close above half of the bars. If they fell out, that's the lower end of that resistance level. Just as a delta is 545, if I go in here and I'm going to look, okay, so here's where we're at, 1243 on the S&P. So if I go up a full delta, I've got 1249 resistance at full delta. Half delta is 1246 on the S&P. The closing price on the S&P right now is 1243.91. I am above that there. So one of the things about this is a delta, 2 deltas are going to be a very nice price. That would be 1255 on the upper end of that S&P. 2 deltas higher from the current level starting out Monday. And these are Monday's prices, MMTs. Today is 12/18/2010, 11:59 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Saturday training with MMTs for next week's pricing action in the S&P 500. At that point in time, we'll be trading either calls or puts in the S&P. We'll be looking for good leadership and price action stocks that are the leaders in the S&P 500. FCX is a good one. Goldman Sachs is a good one for short or long. So there's a lot of key good stocks in that index in the S&P 500 that lead these moves up and down. I've just given you the prices on what's going to happen so that you know which way to get, short or long, in the price action zone. MMTs, have a wonderful weekend, and just remember how we broke higher on a daily level is that we're up at the topping zone here, and basically this is your primary focus right here. Let's take this out of the way so you can see it right here. This bar, that bar, how we consolidated the moves here, and then we broke higher, and once again a directional movement, either a gap down, red bar, gap up, green bar above it, and off to the races, and everyone wants to buy and own equities. We'll be updating everyone Monday in the pre-market action at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to the stockmarketfunding.com site. Look at all pre-market futures updates, because we tell you what the market will do before the market even opens. Go find that, Yogi Bear. Anyway, we have it, MMTs. Short term, right here. You don't want to see a closing price above, below that 1238. If we do, then it's time to get net short.